Hi there. Are you still using Anaplan Connect? If so, this will be a quick introduction to Nexadata. In this short presentation and demo, I'll show you how Nexadata can serve as a direct replacement for Anaplan Connect while offering a much simpler and more flexible way to work with your data. We'll look at how Nexadata removes the need for scripting, connects directly to the systems that feed your planning processes, and makes it easy to transform and prepare data for Anaplan without added tools or complexity. Let's get started. With Anaplan Connect, everything is script driven. Those scripts have to be built, maintained, and constantly updated, and they tend to be brittle as your Anaplan models evolve. Mapping and transforming data is also extremely limited. To do anything beyond basic loads, you usually have to wrap Anaplan Connect with tools like Python, which adds even more complexity and maintenance overhead. There's also no direct connectivity to many of the systems that feed planning today. Things like HiBob, Navan, Coupa, or HubSpot, despite how critical they are to the planning process. And finally, Anaplan Connect doesn't include native scheduling or notifications. To automate anything, you have to rely on a third-party scheduler and bolt on your own monitoring and alerting. As an alternative to Anaplan Connect, I'd like to introduce you to Nexadata. Nexadata, with its connector copilot, lets you connect to virtually any application or data source without the usual complexity. Instead of managing different tools, scripts, or connection logic for each source that feeds your planning process, Nexadata simplifies all of that into a single experience. What's really different is how you work with data. Rather than configuring complex logic or stitching together manual steps, you simply describe the outcome you want in plain English. Nexadata handles the connection, mapping, and transformation for you. For example, you might say, join customer and orders data, then group by company name and country and sum order total. That's it. Nexadata produces a planning-ready data set that's immediately usable in Anaplan. Nexadata also includes a native bidirectional Anaplan connector. It understands Anaplan structure, so it's not just about loading and extracting data. You can also execute actions and processes to support model-to-model synchronization. And finally, Nexadata has built-in scheduling, so data flows into and out of Anaplan automatically, keeping everything up to date without manual intervention. Here's a quick preview of what I'm about to demonstrate. We're going to start with detailed general ledger data. This could come from systems like Workday, NetSuite, or Oracle E-Business Suite. Using Nexadata, we'll transform, summarize, and map that transaction level data so it's fully harmonized and Anaplan ready. Once the data is ready, we'll load it directly into Anaplan and trigger the import process without scripts or manual handoffs. What you're seeing right now is the Nexadata home screen. From here, we can create connections to various different systems. Once we have a connection, we can then create a data set from that connection. And once we have a data set, we can use that inside of a workflow. For this demonstration, we're going to be focused on workflows. We'll create a new workflow. Give it a name, map and load GL data to Anaplan. Once that's been created, we'll go ahead and add a pre-configured data set that I have set up. It'll be the Flowbotics January 2026 General Ledger. We'll add that to the workflow. And once this workflow has been created, we're going to create a pipeline. We'll create a new pipeline here. We'll give it a name. And we'll select a data set. That data set is now on the right, and at this point we have two choices. We can start transforming using the advanced mode, or we can use the AI Copilot. The AI Copilot certainly be a lot easier, and that's what we'll demonstrate here. I'm going to go ahead and paste in a prompt in natural language that has a lot of logic that will now be used to build a Nexadata pipeline. As you can see here, we have various different count mappings based upon the values in other columns. We call that a conditional map. These conditional maps can also be extended to be multiple values in other columns as well. As we move through, we can see the various different operations creating these maps, and we have now various other operations too, such as summarization of a column based upon the values in other columns as well. I'm going to add one additional instruction here saying do not rename any columns. So it's really pretty much a free form here that's going to be interpreted by the Nexadata AI. Once we've provided these instructions, we're going to go ahead and create a plan. And this plan will actually take the instructions that you see here on the left and put it into a more sophisticated, more exact form that the Nexadata will follow in order to create the Nexadata pipeline. We can see here the very detailed mapping group. As we flow through, we can see the final step here of a group by, which is what I wanted to do. This is a good example where if it does something that we don't want it to do, we can also just give it those instructions as well, as we see here on the left. So this plan looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and approve and build it. So what we're seeing right now is it's actually building and taking those instructions and building the various different components inside the pipeline. The first component here is the mapping group. And the mapping group is where we have each of those different accounts being mapped from one value to the next based upon that logic. Now that we have that pipeline built, we can see it here on the left. We can also see the raw data on the right. So what we're seeing right now is the mapping group being applied to that data. And if we look, we can actually go in and see the actual maps being created here. If we take a look here, for example, we can take a look and see how this map was constructed. So based upon segment 2 equaling innovation programs, as well as cost center equaling CC 500. That's the conditional map that we're setting up or has been set up for us. So we can see now that those maps have been executed. And now we'll go to step 2, and we can now see the group by and summarization of those various different columns. I'm going to go ahead and add an additional map here, and that's to map to the existing Anaplan line items that I want. So I'll go ahead and use that, say map to Anaplan line items. And we'll apply that to the GL account column. We've got a preview of that, and now we can see how that gets applied. And now we have that data ready. We can also dynamically add additional steps in this pipeline. For example, I could say sort GL account. And now that GL account has been sorted as well. So now my data looks pretty good. I'm ready to now load it into Anaplan. Before we do that, we need to create an output. We'll add an output. And we'll select a pre-configured Anaplan connection. Once this connection has been set up, we can select the workspace, select the model, and select the operation. Here it's upload and import. When we select that, we can select my import action, and now we're ready to go. I could schedule this, or I can just execute this, which I will go ahead and do now. Before I do, let's go ahead and just actually look at Anaplan. You can see here that this January 26 is empty. Let's return back to Nexadata and execute this workflow. That's been successful. We'll go ahead and refresh this and see that that data now has been loaded. That's it. Pretty simple. Great example of how to use Nexadata to streamline that data flow from various different systems, map and harmonize that data, and eliminate the need to use Anaplan Connect. Thank you for watching this video, and please visit us at nexadata.com to learn more and get started with Nexadata.